Good evening, everyone. Today we're going to talk about the heap, clustered and non-clustered index. Let's start quickly with a heap. A heap is like a table that not have any clustered index. There is no guaranteed order, and whenever you will run a select query without using the order by, you will every time get a different, unexpected, unpredictable result. You can create non-cluster index on a heap, and without the index, SQL will scan the whole data, and of course this make it more slow. Usually you can use a heap for a specific purpose, but it's not recommended unless you really have a good reason for using it, because it brings your performance down. What about the clustered and non-clustered index? Regarding to the clustered first, it's like a sort of data of rows in a table, and you give it an index. Let's think that you have a phone book in your hand and you are looking for a name. Let's say the name is Thomas. Then you know it starts by T. You will go first in the index at the beginning of the book and you look for the T. And then you will see the number, and then you will go for whole Thomas, and then you will go for the second name, and etc. So you are following a specific order based on the index. Imagine you are at the beginning of the book, you have the exact number, which will be the ID. We use that when we have a primary key, and we call it cluster index. Can it be another column other than the primary key? Yes, it can. So you can manually assign the cluster index as another column. But you can have only one cluster index. So we are still in this phone book, and you are searching for Thomas. But let's say that you said, okay, I will be sorting my cluster index by phone numbers. Then in this time, you can't look it by Thomas, by T, and look for T, because if you do that, it will be already sorted by telephone number, which is very bad, like activity. For example, you are sorting from lowest ascending order, from lowest to higher. So you will have, for example, 00001 in the first row, and the last row it will be the number 99999. So in this case, if you make the sort by telephone number, you lost the coherence to look for Thomas with alphabet. So you will need to choose which is your primary key or the column you are manually selected, and do the order based on it, and that will be your clustered index. What in case if you not have a clustered index? In case of you not have a cluster index, but still you want to add a non-clustered index on the heap, on the table that not have nothing, because you don't want to go and search in all, but you want to search in like a bale of papers, like you want to search in a specific rows. And please put double focus on it's not row, but it's rows. It's not one row you will go through for it. And I will give very good examples that will make it easier to digest. So we have the same example. You looked at the beginning of the table. Now look at the back end of the table, like the back of the table. In the end of the table, you usually will find the other type of index that have a name, or like, okay, let's say that you are still in the same book and you are looking hospital in New York, and then you will go to back in the index, you will look for hospitals. Then you have hospitals, but you didn't search for which hospital. Okay, so you will have the whole list of hospitals, and then you have the index for them. So it's a set of rows. It's not one row. In clustered index, you are looking, for example, New York University Clinicum. Then you will go to New York University Clinicum and look at beginning of the index for it, and you will see the ID, which is the number, the primary key, the page name, whatever, call it as you want. It will be like, for example, page 120. So you will open page 120. On other side, non-clustered, we looked for the whole hospitals in New York. We have the set of rows, and then we will say for us, for example, hospital in between page 110 10 and 125. So at this time you have set of rows, set of pages, and you're looking for. This is non-clustered index. So you make lookup faster. It's still faster than a heap, because in heap you have no order at all. Here you still shorten your search. Instead of searching in all data warehouse, you will search in a specific part from your data warehouse. You can create many non-clustered index per table, but it must be justified because it creates an extra storage. So each time you will create an non-clustered index table on a table, it will update, but it will take some space. So you don't use it like too much, because otherwise it will still deteriorate your space. The most important part, if the table has a clustered index, you still can able to create an unclustered. For example, I want to look for this hospital name, but I don't want to look in all like non-hospital. So I can give an index for the hospital, but I will go to look in the non-clustered index. I will go first to the hospitals, and then I will go to look which number in hospital, and then I will see it's page 120, and then I will go. So instead of looking in the whole like index at beginning, I will look only for the specific backend name, hospitals, and then I will create in hospital a cluster. So in front of each hospital I will put the exact number, and then okay, I want like New York, I can search like sort them alphabetic, and then okay, I will go for N, and then I look in front on which page, and then I go get it directly. So let's make a quick comparison between them. So table type, if it's heap, and it have non-cluster, we call it row index. For example, let's take an example. You have like a shop that have fruits and you want banana. So you will put it in box number 2, in shelf number 5, in aisle 3. If you did that, you like do non-clustered in a heap table. So this we call it row index. Then you have the second option, which is like a second case, which is clustered table. Index type is clustered. This is a very straightforward case. You have a primary key, you have IDs, you look in your index with the IDs, you go directly to the stored product based on the code, or the stored data based on the code. Clustered table, index type non-clustered. This is the case that we show, which most likely you can face it also in reality. You will use a clustered key. It means you will go in the same shop, but you have bananas. So then you look for the bananas, and then from these bananas, for example, you want banana type 2. So you will go first to look, and instead of all items in the shop, watermelon, bananas, fruits, vegetables, I don't know what, you will go to banana, then you will go through the all item of banana, and you look for ID 2. It could be a specific product or something. In this case, you have a clustered table, and you have the index non-clustered on a cluster table. We call it a clustered key, and here this process we call it key lookup, which make it more efficient. Let's take you quickly to make our hand dirty and implement one case. Okay, so we created here one table. We call it fruit table for this like small shop, and we added primary key. This will be the clustered index if you have the primary key, and then like we inserted like apple, banana, we add the color for them, and then we added like IDs. Like you can see that we have different type of banana. This is very important, so we can show the like the example we talked about last time. So we are showing like the key lookup examples that we talked about last time. You can see there's more than one banana. Okay, so let's directly jump in action. So let's create our index. So we create clustered index. Okay, and then we want also to create a non-clustered index. Non-clustered index. for the same table, fruit table, but here we created the cluster index for ID, then the fruit table we will create for name, the banana as we say. And okay, let's run both of them. So if we run it now, it will give an error, cannot create more than one cluster index. Why you have this error? You have this error because when we created the table here, we set a primary key. So once you created the primary key, it's by default the clustered index. But what if I not assign the primary key in a table? Then you need to create it here. Okay? So you can't create a cluster index if you choose already a primary key. If you not choose a primary key, then you can create it manually. Okay, and now we can see on the left hand side you have pk, it's like primary key, fruit tip, and you have like the name is like the one we created with non-cluster index. Okay, and now let's create the procedure for the key lookup. So create and proc, and our proc it will be this one which get fruit by name. And then we need two parameters. First is like the fruit name itself, and then the second will be the ID. So the fruit name, and second one will be the fruit ID. And okay, and this will be int. Okay, we won't make it optional because if you not selected, I don't want to throw an error. How I can achieve that? By assign it a null value. So if it not assign anything, it will be null and you still can run your procedure. So we can see first when only select banana, and then we can see when we will be selecting like banana and which ID for banana we select. Then we need the ID, and then we have like name, and we have name, and we have also color. Okay, and we were from, and we have this table was like it called dbo.fruit table, and we will select name as a banana. So we will select name as, in this case we need to take fruit name, right? Like so it will be the banana as the fruit name. Okay, and then after that we need also as a condition that the fruit ID, we will select for example fruit ID 2 or something. I like any ID we will select. Let's say fruit ID is null, or ID equal fruit ID. So when you do this, you avoid that if you didn't enter something, it will give the whole list of bananas. That's what we need to show at the beginning. Okay, we end it and we execute it. Now we need to execute the procedure. So we have it like do be fruit, and fruit name we make it banana. Let's execute. You can see you have all banana, you have all yellow. Okay, let's do the same, but we will add this time like fruit ID is equal to. So okay, and let's add fruit ID, let's make it 2, and let's close the query and run it. And you can see you have ID 2, banana is name and color. So first time when we created the store procedure banana, that was same example like hospital, which we call it here, it's like key lookup. Okay, so we created the key lookup. One time it go first to banana, And then after that, when we added the ID, it first looked the banana, so it reduced the search, and instead of searching the whole store, it went to banana shelf, and then it used the ID to get the exact banana. I wish